Hello, and welcome to the Passion Driven Pioneers interview series. I'm your host, John Channon, and today I'm joined by Erik McLaughlin, who is the owner of Bold North Roofing. Erik, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me, John.
I'm looking forward to it. Would you mind just kicking us off with a brief background as to who you are, what you do in the business that you're in?
Yeah, absolutely. So, as John said, my name is Erik McLaughlin. I'm the owner of Bold North Roofing and Contracting. So, my background's a little unique for a roofing company owner. I'm actually a CPA by trade. So, I went to school for accounting. I worked in public accounting for a couple of years, then pivoted into real estate development, where I ran an asset management team at a local developer here in the Twin Cities. I did that for about 4 years. And in the background of this, me and my best friend from college, we started buying houses up together, fixing, flipping them. He was actually working at a roofing company at the time, kind of the right-hand man over there. So he understood the operations, production, sales, kind of the full scale of it, just didn't have the business side experience. And so we were flipping these houses, working really well together. And he said, "Hey, I want to start a roofing company. You're the one person that I would let in because we know each other, work together well, and you have complementary skill sets." And so invited me to partner with him as we launched Bold North Roofing and Contracting back in 2022, and the rest is history.
So it sounds like this was just kind of born out of just kind of a happenstance of what you guys were doing and some of his experience. But was there anything in particular that really kind of attracted you to the roofing industry in particular?
Yes, there was. So I'll start by saying that I found in life it presents you with some windows of opportunity. You don't get a ton of them. You get, every few years you have one, and this was one that opened up, and I knew I had to take it. And at the time, I had my dream job, which was working at a real estate developer. I was running an asset management department, basically playing real life Monopoly over a portfolio of apartment buildings. It was a dream job. I reported right to the owner. It was great. And I had this opportunity, and so like I said, when there's opportunity, you have to take it. And my business partner at the time was making really good money selling roofs, and so I started learning more and more about this, and really found it to be the perfect business model. So we work with homeowners and their insurance companies, and a lot of times in Minnesota, big hail and windstorms will come through, destroy roofs, destroy siding, destroy windows. And so we work with these homeowners through their insurance. And so it's a good sales pitch. We say, "Hey, we're going to help you get your roof and siding approved by insurance. They're going to pay for, the $20,000, $30,000 of damage, whatever it is, and you're only responsible for your deductible." So it's an easy sales pitch. So the customer acquisition was easy. There is a decent amount of money in the roofing and siding because there is so much risk. There's a lot of ways things can go wrong. For instance, if you don't put a roof on and seal it correctly, and it rains and damages the interior, you're on the hook for it. You're responsible. If a nail isn't cleaned up, after 10,000 nails are used on a roof, if one nail is on a driveway, someone backs over it, pops their tire, that's on you. So there's a million things that can go wrong when you're going into someone's house, literally ripping the hat off of it, the top off of it, and putting it back on in one day. I mean, there's a lot of things that can happen. So to offset the risk of things going wrong, there has to be the profit and the money there. And so we have dialed in our process, our procedure to not have any of those mistakes happen. And because of that, we're able to make a good amount of money on the roofs that we do. And that business model is what attracted me to it, seeing the potential for applying business principles to a construction trade that in the past was done with small groups of people that were all on the construction side, but being able to standardize a process and grow it into a more organization was what attracted me to it.
So this was a little bit of a different type of business than you'd been in before. So talk to us a little bit about, what were some of the key things you brought from some of your other business experiences to help get Bold North really up and going and operating?
Absolutely. Well, I always fall back on my CPA designation. Having those three letters behind my name has helped me work with banks to get lines of credit right away. It's helped establish confidence in the marketplace. So when we started out, it was just me and Ryan, my business partner. We didn't have a team of 20 people to go knock on doors like you might have seen. And so we tapped into our network. I posted on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, all the things. And we tapped into our professional networks, our social networks, and we had a ton of referrals right away, just leaning on us as people saying, "Hey, we're well established in the business community. People knew who we were." And so they didn't know our work yet because we hadn't done a ton of it. But we said, "Hey, we're going to take care of you on this project. We're not going to leave you hanging. We're going to make sure the end product is something that you're proud of. And so we really just sold ourselves. And I think that's a good lesson for business in general is if you start a business, you don't have to be the expert in the room because you're not going to be until you're 5 to 10 years in, but you have to sell yourself saying, hey, I'm the owner of the company. I'm going to take care of it because it's my reputation. And that's what I think set us apart. And also being able to bring, like I keep saying, that CPA and business side to an industry that generally doesn't have many people with the business and accounting and finance knowledge at the top of it, at least. That was a differentiator when we went out and talked to people in one business.
Yeah, and talk to us a little bit more about, obviously word of mouth marketing, referrals are a really important part of your business and they're reflective of the quality of the work that you do. Talk to us a little bit more about, are there any specific things that you guys do to get those types of referrals?
Yeah, absolutely. We try to be very selective with who we hire. People want to work with people they know, like, and trust. And so it doesn't matter how great your branding is. We think we have the best branding in the industry. We love our name. We love our colors, our logos. We have the 15 trucks rolling around with our, we call them our mobile billboards. So we love that, but really it comes down to the person behind the shirt or underneath the shirt. Do they like that person they're working with? And if they do, and they get asked for a referral, they're going to introduce them to their neighbors or to their friends and family. And so really we lean strongly on referrals. We try not to do we do a little door knocking, try not to do a ton of it. Don't do the cold calling. Don't do some of these things that other roofing companies do because we're able to lean heavier on the referrals. And it's really important to us that we have good people that represent us well.
That's really great. And who knew that your color selection would be the same as this new state flag of Minnesota? I mean,
Right. Yeah. It's a perfect fit, perfect match.
oh man, that's great. So let's talk a little bit about maybe some of how do you guys remain adaptable, open to change, and innovative in your industry in particular?
Absolutely. And we have to with there's new laws that come out every year that regulate roofing contractors in particular for roofing for whatever reason. Sometimes it attracts bad actors, the storm chasers, people from out of state. And so there's always new legislatures and laws that make our job more difficult. And so we have to be able to adapt. And we've really prided ourselves on that. And I think that's one of the strengths of having a newer business or a smaller business is that it's not that we've done this for 80 years. It's how we've always done it. It's like, hey, we're young, we're flexible, we're agile, we're gonna dip and weave and we're gonna make sure that if there's things that come out that change the industry, that we're in a position to maneuver around them. And one thing I've always believed in is every change leads opportunity. So there's a lot of new laws coming out, and I see a ton of opportunity in it. Some roofing companies are, slowing things down, trying to understand it, and we're leaning into it, and we're gonna hopefully come out ahead because of it, because of the opportunity that change provides.
So I'm going to ask you a little bit of a different type of question. This one I refer to as the magic wand question. So if you could wave a magic wand, right, and change one thing about your business, what would that be?
That's a really good question. I have a hard time with these questions. Whenever people ask like what I'm struggling with, what I need help with, I can't pinpoint it to one thing. I think if I could change one thing about my business, it would be that I'm able to delegate more and continue to find better and better people. I think it's hard to sell yourself as, hey, I'm the owner, you're going to work with me. And at a certain point, you can't work with everyone. And so I've always prided myself to all my friends and family saying, hey, you work with Bold North, that means you're going to be able to work with me. And at this point, that's not the case. I need to keep finding, and I have really good people on my team, but keep finding good people that I can continue to delegate down that are going to be an extension of me and represent us how I would want us represented. So I would say just continuing to find more good people would be what I would use that magic wand for.
No, that's great. Yeah, no, it's actually a really good answer because a lot of times, people as they build a business on their shoulders, they don't do enough of offloading some of those responsibilities and then up the right types of systems to make sure that everything's getting done the way you need it to get done.
Mhm.
So let's talk a little bit about the future. Could you maybe just offer a little glimpse into your future plans and goals that you have for your business?
Yeah, absolutely. So this year we implemented EOS, which stands for Entrepreneurial Operating System. And it's been a complete game changer from structuring meetings to setting metrics and rocks and goals, and also to help us plan out what is 3 years, what is 5, what does 10 years look like, and then also the next 3, 6, and 12 months, and kind of connecting the dots. I think it's easy for anyone to say, hey, I want to be a $100 million revenue company in 10 years, but how are you actually going to get there? Do you have a plan, or are you just shooting out a number off the top of your head? So what our goal is this year, we want to double, if not triple, where we were last year. Last year we tripled where we were the year before. So we've been on this rapid growth. You obviously can't triple every year. It's going to get harder and harder, but we want to continue to push our top line, build out our team here. As you grow revenue, overhead goes up, which is obviously the growing pains of business. But we want to just continue to grow and add more good people to the team so we can keep expanding our footprint. Goals in the next 2 to 3 years would be to expand past Minnesota. We're looking at Wisconsin, Iowa, 2 states that we're currently licensed in, but to potentially open offices there. So as we continue to grow and meet good people and add them to the team, that would be our next step in growth.
Well, that's exciting. So we'll
Yeah.
start to see Bold North being Bold Midwest.
Right. Well, that begs the question on, do we have to change branding if we go too far south, or is Bold North gonna not? I mean, if someone had a Bold South company up in Minnesota, I don't know if anyone would work with them. So maybe we do have to change and make it more specific for every state that we're in. But we
Hmm.
do like Bold North for Minnesota, at least.
I think it would work in Wisconsin too.
Yeah, that's
For
true.
sure. So that's great. So you mentioned kind of your goals that you've grown 2 to 3 times over the last couple of years. What are some of the things that when you grow at that rate, right? What are some of the key things that you need to make sure you're doing as a business owner to sustain that?
Yeah, well, it really comes down to people, John. And I think the biggest and hardest lesson I've learned is that not every person that you hire at a small size company is going to be the person you need at a mid-size company. I would consider ourselves close to mid-size. Um, we've grown quite a bit. We've added quite a few employees, and independent contractors to our team. But right when you start, you hire a couple people that can kind of wear multiple hats and do everything. And as you grow, you don't and can't have that. You need to have people that specialize and focus on one part of the process, and that isn't always the same person. And so it's been, as we keep growing, we have to keep elevating the people we have here. Most have grown with us, but not everyone has, and we've had to hire new people in to fill some of those roles. And so that's been a hard thing for me, because the first, people, I never want people to leave when we grow, but I know that if we're going through such rapid transformation, that's going to sometimes equate to people leaving and new people coming in that are a better fit. So I think it's just continuing to adapt as we grow, and having the right people grow with us.
Well, that's really exciting. So, knowing that this show, right, is targeted really towards people who may be in their first few years worth of business, or they're thinking about getting into a business, do you have any final thoughts or words of advice you'd like to share with our audience today?
Yeah, I'll drop a couple. I think one thing that got me from leaving my dream job to starting a business was a quote I actually heard on a podcast. So I'll share from one podcast to another, but it is, you have to change your mindset from you can't afford to lose something to you can't afford not to go after something else. So in my circumstances, I couldn't afford to lose this job that I loved. It was I thought, one of a kind job, right? But then I also couldn't afford to have not to have the ultimate freedom and unlimited earning potential of running my own business. So changing my mindset to that helped me let go of my current situation to pursue something else. And then the second one I would say is just getting comfortable doing repetitive work without seeing the reward right away. I know that all the business gurus out there will tell you that, and I'll echo it, is that you're going to have to do repetitive, non you're not going to get the satisfaction of it right away, but over years and years of doing it, you start to see some traction, and that's where you become really good and see the fruits of your labor. So I'd say those 2 pieces of advice would be helpful.
Yeah, I think that's a really great way to wrap this up. You also had mentioned earlier that, you got to recognize those windows of opportunity when they come by and be
Mm.
willing to take that risk and jump on those. So I would add that as the third one to this. So, I listen, Eric, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate that.
Yeah,
It
of
was
course.
Yeah, and it was awesome hearing about your journey and going all the way from being a CPA to being a major roofing contractor here in the Twin Cities. And for everyone watching, I look forward to seeing you in our next episode.